2017 Mock Draft 4.0, dueling mock draft. I love it. We've got it in front of us now. Don't forget, NFL Draft, April 27th on the Watch ESPN app and ESPN. Todd McShay joins us now with a look at this year's NFL. Todd, welcome to the show, pal.
How's it going, man?
Everything's good. With luckily the draft being in Philadelphia, Howie Roseman figured out a way to get the Eagles back into the draft at number 14. Now the riddle is, what does he do there after free agency landed them a couple of wide receivers? You, in Mock Draft 4.0, have Christian McCaffrey, and that's got a lot of people around here buzzing. What kind of fit would he be in Doug Peterson's offense with Carson Wentz?
I think he'd be a really good fit. You know, I know there are some other needs on the defensive side, cornerback, edge, linebacker, but if Sproles is there, and I don't even know that he will be, we'll see. A team like New Orleans could wind up taking him at number 11. But McCaffrey, to me, is kind of a special player. You've got Sproles turning 34 in June, and listen, I know he's been productive. You just don't know how long he's going to be. And McCaffrey, first of all, I honestly think he can play slot receiver and running back. You know, both positions. I rarely say that. I mean, some guys you can kind of flex out there every once in a while and simplify things for, but I think he can run an NFL route tree from the slot. So with his pass catching ability, his ability to create yards as a runner, if you want to use him in the return game, and then I don't know that I've ever heard David Shaw or many coaches really praise an individual for what they brought to a team like McCaffrey brought to Stanford. I'm talking just like day in and day out, practice habits, effort, professionalism, all the things that you look for. He's a special individual, and whichever team drafts him, I think he's going to bring some of that leadership, lead by example too, not just the vocal rah-rah stuff, but just showing everyone else around him how it's done, and he'll do that at a young age. So I think McCaffrey, for what they're looking for versatility-wise, running backs being able to contribute in the pass game, and I know the front office, what they're looking for from just an individual standpoint and what guys can bring from a football character standpoint, McCaffrey fits everything they're looking for.
Yeah, it seems like he'd be a good fit with Carson Wentz and what he brings. Todd McShay, his Mock Draft 4.0 is up at ESPN.com. How much has he moved up? I mean, where did he start in this process, and how much has he got to the point where 14 is a comfortable spot, or do you think he overshoots that area?
Well, it'll be interesting because I thought he was more mid to late first. I had a later first round grade on him. The only thing he doesn't have is great power. He breaks some tackles because he's got good balance. He runs hard. He runs behind his pads. He's not an overpowering back. So if that's the case, you better have really good agility. And I want to see what the lower body explosiveness was with him. And his test results were awesome. I mean, they were just, when you just look at across the board what he was able to do from the 40 and to the jumps to the shuttles. I mean, he was top 5 or right around there with just about every single result that he had. So to me, that helped, and I think for NFL teams that helped just to confirm that if we're drafting a guy for his ability to make people miss and for his elusiveness and explosiveness, let's make sure that he is as explosive as the tape indicates. And so when that happened, I think it just kind of confirmed it, and he's moved up since. And I think the other part, too, honestly, is when you sit down and meet with him and you get to know him and you do your due diligence, and then you compare that to other guys like a Dalvin Cook, who I think loves football and is passionate about it and loves the game and is going to work hard. But there are some questions out there about who he surrounds himself with, and he's had fumbling issues. 1.7%. Anything over 1% is not good, and 1.7 is you're starting to get to that scary percent with fumble percentage. And then he also has had multiple shoulder injuries. So when you add it up, McCaffrey's clean versus Cook, who probably has a little bit better tape in terms of just explosiveness and ability to create. But there's that potential risk and downside that scares you a little bit, and I think that could wind up being the difference between those two backs.
I find it interesting. We're talking with Todd McShay. His Mock Draft 4.0 is out. Mel has Mike Williams going 9 to Cincy. You have Corey Davis going 9 to Cincy. And then both of you flip-flopped when it came to Tennessee at what number is Tennessee there? To number 18. Corey Davis to Tennessee. You have Mike Williams. If Corey Davis, Mike Williams, and Christian McCaffrey are all around the 14 spot, does Philly still a better fit? Is it still McCaffrey, or do you think that they couldn't pass one of those guys up?
It's a good question. I think it still would be McCaffrey. And, I can't sit here and say absolutely McCaffrey, but I think Mike Williams, the comp is Alshon Jeffery. I mean, that's
right.
That's who he is. So or do you want to bring in another one of him in this year's draft? I think Corey Davis is a little bit different. I think he's a more advanced route runner. I think he plays faster, and he has good size, but Mike Williams is bigger, stronger, more physical, great ball skills, but just doesn't play quite as fast. And he's going to need some time to learn how to run routes and adjust to defenses, because he ran two routes, 80% of the time, a quick slant and a go route. So, that's kind of the breakdown of those two players. I think Jeffrey and Mike Williams, are you just going to draft the same thing? You could say the same thing with Sproles, though. So they already have him there. But Alshon Jeffery is 27 years old versus 34. I think that, to me, is a difference.
Last one, corner. Obviously, Eagles need there. I mean, they're very weak at that spot right now. At 14, Lattimore certainly won't be there. Mel has Conley going there at 14. But is this a draft where you don't need to take one at 14, that you can maybe say we'll get one in second, third, maybe even fourth?
Yeah, I think, obviously you're drafting a player that you don't have as high a grade on if you wait till that, the 10th or 11th pick in the second round. Obviously, if you grade a player as a mid-first rounder and he goes and you consider him a better prospect, but there is such depth in this class that you're sitting there at 43. I gave him Jordan Lewis, the Eagles, in the second round from Michigan. I'm a little higher on Lewis, admittedly, than most people. Who doesn't have elite size and speed, but the dude can just flat out cover. I mean, he's as instinctive in shadow coverage as any guy I've evaluated probably since, Jason Verrett. Verrett was faster, but Lewis he just has great instincts. He rarely gives up separation. He's got good ball skills. He's physical, lays it all on the line every single week. If that's the player, the level player you get in the second round, and you're able to get a McCaffrey or somebody else in the first round, then that's a pretty good pair with your first two picks. I mean, the cornerback list is outstanding this year. And so Marshon Lattimore, yes, he'll go early from Ohio State. Kevin King and Gary and Conley from Washington and Ohio State, respectively, have been bumped up, I think, because of workouts. Both have really good tape. King is longer, but both of them had exceptional workouts and numbers that you see with elite cornerbacks in the league. Tre'Davious White doesn't have the elite speed out of LSU, but he's a really good football player and consistent. Marlon Humphrey has everything except ball skills. Got to learn how to locate the ball in the air, but he's a really good player as well. I mean, just look at it, down to Jordan Lewis. So middle second round grades. I've got 7 corners in the top 40 players overall. And I think it's about 13 if you go to the top 62, or top 70. So there's just a lot of good corners in this class to be had. Same with safeties, and there's a good amount of edge rushers too.
All areas the Eagles probably looking for, not safety so much, but edge and corner. Todd McShay. Check out his mock draft version 4.0 right now at ESPN.com. ESPN NFL Draft Analyst Todd McShay, all over the place, leading you up to the NFL Draft live from Philadelphia. Todd, thanks so much.
You got it, man. Have a great day.